My name is Merinda Peppard. I am the marketing lead for the Salesforce Pardot business. And today I'm going to talk through how I use marketing automation to run my business. But let's jump straight in. Um, I joined Salesforce recently after working in B2B marketing for around 15 years. It was quite interesting during the interview process. I didn't actually know how to pronounce the Pardot brand name. Was it Pardot? Is it Pardot, like in the French? And it made for a slightly awkward first few minutes of the interview, but it's actually pronounced Pardot. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it's Latvian, and the word in Latvian means to market or sell. And I think this background is important because it's really fundamental, to the aim of our company as a part of business, but also, it's fundamental as a key objective for many B2B marketers out there. We're so closely aligned to sales that it becomes ingrained in our key objectives. So I think we can just look at the marketing automation process, and we take a step back and really look at a high level for a second on what B2B marketing automation is. And essentially, what B2B marketing automation does is allow you to take your leads from your campaigns and really get them across to sales. So, that's our key objective here. And, sales are always wanting those highly qualified hot leads to follow up on, and that's the concept, right? So the campaign, we create these wonderful marketing campaigns, we put them into a magic marketing automation box, and good leads come out at the other end. That's what we're hoping for, and that's the concept. But what I'm finding more and more is that marketers understand the value, and they understand why they need a marketing automation solution, but they're not really quite sure how to actually do it. So this is what I'm going to go through today, and I'm going to go through some of the steps that I do when I'm setting up a campaign myself for my B2B business, using Pardot, the Salesforce marketing automation solution. So the first thing my team does is that we sit down and we figure out what kind of campaign and content strategy are we going to run. So the two are very closely aligned, and I'm going to talk about an actual campaign today that we did about 6 months ago. And we decided that we wanted to focus a campaign really on high growth startup businesses. That target in particular was really hot for us about 6 months ago, and we wanted to focus in our marketing initiatives and really get that target group to understand the value of Pardot in our business. So this is sort of how we walk through that. I'm going to walk through that campaign and sort of what we did on a step-by-step basis. So best practice one, we took a couple of inputs into our decision-making process to not only come up with who we were targeting, but also the message and the content that we were going to use to target these people with. And the first thing that we did was really look at the data. And what we're seeing time and time again is that at Pardot, entrepreneurial businesses were in particular were buying Pardot in record numbers. So we wanted to build a campaign around that. So who should so then we needed to decide what should we focus the content on. And with Pardot, one of our key USPs is that it's a really easy to use platform. So that was one of the key themes that we wanted this audience to take away, that Pardot is easy, it's easy to get started, and there's a lot of value for high growth businesses and small marketing teams. And the second thing we do is that we listen to our customers. We're within my role, we're always on the road. We're at lots of events. We have a very strong event strategy within Pardot, and we're always in the field out talking to customers. And we get a lot of feedback about how our customers use our product, etc. And when we talk to some of these high growth companies that recently bought Pardot, um, you know, one thing came apparent actually when we spoke to them was that they didn't know initially that they needed marketing automation. They didn't even know what marketing automation was. So, that was interesting for us because we thought, well, we really need to go to the drawing board and we need to educate this audience on right very beginning what is marketing automation. So, we had a product that was valuable to these people, but they didn't initially know that they needed it. So there was some light bulbs that weren't there. So that was interesting to figure out our content strategy for this campaign. And the third thing we did here was we read research. I think we're lucky as a B2B marketing organization at Salesforce. We have a lot of resources. We're lucky enough to have access to focus groups and stuff like that. But if you're a smaller or B2B organization, then there's obviously other research that you can look at. There's tons of stuff on eMarketer, there's Forrester reports, there's lots of different types of research that you can use to validate really where your head is at and where you want your campaign to go and in what direction. And of course, the last thing we did is what I call our marketing magic. And this, I think this is a little bit of why we all become marketers, and certainly why I became a marketer. It's because I love, the mixture of the art and science. I really love that creativity side of marketing. So, how do we take that concept and how do we make it compelling and interesting and really make people want to buy our product at the end of the day? Um, so, when we did all this research, we listened to our customers, we looked at the data. Our two main findings were really that there was one, a lack of awareness in marketing automation, and two, that with this target group, their key priority was that they wanted to grow fast. So we took these two findings and we combined it into a campaign theme, which we called Small Teams, Big Dreams. And that's how we came about figuring out the campaign and the content strategy, and then we built all of our content assets around that. So what do we do then after we had decided what our campaign theme was? We needed the content to support that campaign, and content is really at the heart of a lot of marketing automation campaigns. You need to have that content to keep people continuously engaged. And what we've learned at Pardot is that we need different content for really different stages of the funnel. So you've most of you have likely seen this funnel before. Let's start at the top of the funnel. And I think if we ignore the funnel and we just use one piece of content for all of our prospects, it's not going to be that easily digestible and consumed by people, as they change their journey through the funnel. At different stages of that journey, they definitely want different things, and um, I think it's the top of the funnel really is about building the awareness. It's about educating people on the problem that your business will solve and the value that your business has to offer. So for us, the top of the funnel was something that we didn't even really want to talk about Pardot, our company. We didn't want that content to be product focused at all, because at that stage of the buyer's journey, people are not, they're just trying to understand what marketing automation is. We're trying to educate them on that problem, and um, we didn't want to introduce our product too early because that's not what the prospect is looking for. So what we did here for this particular campaigns targeting high growth companies, we designed a really cute infographic where people could scroll down and they could see the different kinds, the different many hats that marketing professionals wore in those businesses. We all know that the B2B marketers, especially in smaller teams and high growth businesses, wear a lot of hats. So we kind of had a joke with that, and created this lovely infographic saying, how B2B marketers are always trying to do a lot of stuff. Here are all the hats that they wear, and really educate them on how marketing automation can help, but definitely not pushing our product content at all at this stage, because people just aren't ready for that. So then as we move from the top of the funnel, we move then to mid funnel content. And as we move down that funnel, the second piece of content that we decided to show here was showing people the value in terms of the actual strategies that they can use with marketing automation. So, this is the first piece on top of the funnel was why you need it. The second piece was, okay, now how do I actually use marketing automation to grow my business? So now we have a little bit of product content in here, but we're still trying really hard to educate people on the value of marketing automation. So we introduce a little bit of product content because, of course, eventually we want people to buy, but it's not the primary focus of this piece of content. The third piece of content that we develop has really to be product focused, and this is really where people have seen the problem, they're starting to understand the solution and how they can use it, and this is where we really want to introduce the product then at the bottom stage of the funnel. So they're by the time the prospect or customer has flowed through this journey, they're really ready now to understand what you do as a business and the product and what products you have on offer. They've been educated and they're ready to see, okay, this is the product that's going to help me do everything I need to do. And so for this piece of content, we actually had some of our customers tell their story, because I think sometimes, getting your customers to tell your product story, is a really nice way of, really nice way and a softer way to sell your product. So we took it up and we packaged this in some bottom stage funnel, a bottom stage funnel piece. And the product content here, is really showing the value to the customers about, why they're reading it. And I think the great piece around bottom funnel content is that you can give this, in addition to using it in your marketing efforts, you can also give this to your sales teams, because at this stage, they're really having one-on-one interactions with your customers as well. And if this bottom funnel content, such as case studies, etc., they can also use this in their meetings. So I think, I give this presentation a lot, and I think, so many customers come up to me and they say, okay, we understand that. We understand marketing automation and we understand that we need content, but the thought of developing all this content is absolutely terrifying. If you're a small marketing team, and if you've ever developed content, it can be very time consuming and it's not easy. So, is there any strategies then, they ask, to do this in a structured way? So that sort of leads me on to best practice 3, which is create an anchor piece of content. So I'm just going to, so it's really about creating an anchor piece of content, and then developing your marketing automation strategy around that. Now, this is really, your one anchor piece of content will be time consuming. There's no way around that. It will be your most time intensive piece of content, and you'll probably spend a good amount of time and resource building it. But once you've got that anchor piece of content, you can really merchandise it, use it again and again. And I'm going to show you now how you slice it up and repackage it, and dice it in a whole different bunch of ways. So you're really only doing that heavy lifting once up front. And we do this for two reasons. One, it really helps us maximize our time and investment, and we get the most mileage out of the content that we're spending, so much time putting together. And the second is that people like to consume content in different ways. I will probably consume content in a very different way to you personally do. I, for example, don't like to read white papers, but I would click through a 5-slide slide share on some of the stats from a white paper, for example. So taking this one piece of anchor content and using it multiple times is a really, really good strategy, especially if you're resource constrained. So we've got our campaign theme, we've developed our content, and now, that doesn't really mean anything back to the objective of us in B2B marketing of helping sales achieve their goals. It doesn't really mean anything until we actually start capturing leads. And, we need to capture leads. We need to get them into that magic marketing automation factory I showed you on my first slide, so we can start scoring them and grading them and getting them across to sales. So here are some of the tips that I've learned really on how we can maximize lead capture at Pardot. So, we want to get our offers out via different content channels. We want to see what's interesting, how different call to actions work better on different channels. It seems a bit straightforward, but you'd be surprised because, on the blog, for example, here, the call to action there, what we really want people to do is read the blog. We don't want them to download anything. The word download is a bit scary when you're on a blog because, it's very top of the funnel. You're just wanting to read content. But for a webinar ad, the call to action there is definitely to register for the webinar. So, it's really important to look at those call to actions and to understand, the key metric and goal for each of these content channels. So once you've got your content and you've sliced and diced it in all these different ways, we need to figure out, of course, how much of that content do we gate, and how much do we leave ungated. Have a think about, when you're consuming content, and how does this, yes, we're just trying to see then how the gating, how do you react to gating, and let's just go through and think about the different ways of gating for different content. So I think I would personally rarely gate infographics or short video content or a single customer story, because I really want people to read these things. This is part of the top of the funnel and the education process. And that's really important to make it as easy as possible for people to download. You really want to get that into the hands of everyone. So when you start talking about something that's much more time intensive to produce, such as an ebook or a white paper, or a longer form video, that's when we start to really gate people, and we want to get that lead capture as we're moving down the funnel as well, and people uh, understand the credibility of your business. They've bought into the fact they will receive great content from you, and they are more willing then to give up their contact details for some interesting content. And at these sort of micro decisions your customer is having across their journey, and when they see an ad, they take a few seconds to decide whether they're going to click on that ad or not. Then they go to your landing page, and they're going to there's more micro decisions. Then they might decide in 5 to 10 seconds whether they're actually going to fill in the landing page. And these sorts of micro decisions, you need to think about as they're completing their journey. When will you gate, and when should you allow that free flow of information? And then that leads us on to kind of the I think people are obsessed with clicks from ads, and that makes sense, right? You pay money for ad space, um, and you've got people want to click on your ads, but that what people don't realize is actually not that hard to get clicks. And I'll show you why. I'm actually a sucker for dog videos, on Facebook. So this is a kitten video, but I'll click on anything that has a funny dog video, and I think that's an extreme example, but actually it does show that anyone can get clicks. It really doesn't mean that click is valuable. And what you have to think about what happens to that person after they've clicked on the ad. They've made a decision to click on your ad, and now they're on your landing page, and you've got sort of 5 or 10 seconds to get them to actually fill out that landing page, and where they're so there really needs to be some cohesiveness between the two, the cohesiveness between the ad, and also it needs to map back to your landing page and the specific content that you're trying to deliver to that person. So, if you can have as dynamic as content as possible, then that is definitely going to increase the conversion of your leads coming through. Um, so if you say in your ad that someone is going to receive a white paper, then it sounds obvious, but they need to receive a white paper, not a short 2-page handout. And the other thing we do here is at Pardot, and this is one of my favorite features of Pardot, is that we A/B test every single landing page, because it's really easy to do. First of all, I don't need to be a HTML developer, and I'm definitely not, or a coder or anything like that. But we can do it directly in the system, and we found that you can A/B test a million things, of course. So where do you start? You can test colors, you can test pictures, you can test words, but we found time and time again that the number one thing that will make the most impact to your A/B test really is the headline. So when you're sitting with your team and you're looking at this, and you're thinking, what should we A/B test and where do we start? I would definitely recommend the headline, because that's really where you're going to see the biggest return. So you've added the landing page. Now your prospect is looking at the form that they need to fill in, and they're trying to decide whether or not they're going to fill in that form. So that's the next step in that journey, that marketing automation journey, that you need to consider then for your customer. So sales will want you to ask everything on the form. Of course, if they could get their prospect's blood type, they will have it. The more information that the sales team has, and the more well informed they are, the better for them, and the less work it is for them, of course, to get that information at the time of sale. But as a marketer, as someone who fills in forms myself, I really just want the email address because, I know that through the power of marketing automation, once I've got that email address into my system, I can then really develop these campaigns and develop and nurture the tracks to get more information from people on a piece by piece basis. And this is what we call progressive profiling. And this is what really helps increase the conversion from piece to piece as you're collecting contact details about your customer. So, progressive profiling is one of my favorite features. It's really allows you to have a conversation with the prospect and not overwhelm them by asking for too much information. So usually if you have a Pardot form, I'm going to ask you for your email address because I definitely need your email address up front so I can keep corresponding with you. And then probably just your name. So, and then what I'll do is I will keep showing you other pieces of content to get you more engaged and give you more information about my business, whether it's educational, product, or customer content. Um, and then there's two reasons why I'm giving you more content. One, it's going to help me get more information to my sales team because as I serve you more content, you will give me more of your contact information. And then as we go through scoring and grading, which I'll talk about in a minute, for each piece of content, I will give you a score and a grade, which also helps inform my sales team as well. And it really makes me as a marketer build a great profile on on you as the customer. I can target content based on what I know and based on what I think you'll like. So it's really a better experience for the customer as well. But how do we do this? How do we get people to continually give us information? One way is to put content in front of them. But the other thing I learned at Pardot here is that the best way to start that progressive profiling journey is with an autoresponder. So let's talk now about the autoresponder. So, have a think about how many times you filled in a form and how many times um, the first email you get after you filled that form is a thank you, someone will contact you shortly. So, right, that's the exact wording sometimes that you get, and um, but actually, what you want is another opportunity to get them more engaged. They've gone through the journey, they've clicked on your ads, they've decided to fill out the landing page, and then they've filled it in, and that this is where they're interested in your brand, in your product, and your services, or whatever it is you're selling. But then what you need to get is another content in a piece of content in front of them. They're right for, they're really ripe for learning at this point, and they want to consume the content. So that's the opportunity to get them to get more of your content up front while they're on their journey. So, within my marketing team, we actually spend a lot of time thinking about our autoresponder strategy, and we really make sure that we're putting content that's relevant to the journey that they just went on. So, if they click on something, they become more engaged, but also we've got that progressive profiling going. So, I can ask then more detailed questions on the forms. I can ask about their company size. I can ask, where they're located in the form, so that I can start sending them content based on their country, for example, if I'm responsible for Europe. And then all of this dynamic activity is really tailored to the interaction that they've had previously. So you're giving them that personalized journey as they're really going across. So I think you've we all do a lot of work on our website. I think it's interesting. Websites are so visible within organizations. You've probably experienced the same as me, where you've had one of the senior executives interrogate you about something that you've written on your website. The point is that um, so many people view your website, and your website is really the face of your brand, and it's so highly visible. It's the manifestation of also of your message. But it's so easy that to just forget about it. Once you've created your fantastic website, you create it and then forget about it and start focusing on your lead generating campaigns instead. And you think, well, it looks good, you've optimized your SEO, but then you're not really focused on it. Well, I don't. I think that's a mistake, and I think and it's what a lot of marketers do. They run their website as a project and then they forget about it. But it's not really a set and forget asset, and it's really hard to continually update your website. Um, but this is where really dynamic content and B2B marketing automation really, really helps you, because you can use the tool to set people dynamic content really based on what you know about them. And this will absolutely improve your lead generation effectiveness. So let's take a look at this as an example. And this is an example from the Pardot website, and you can see here that we've got there's two different types of people that come to our website as a business. If someone comes to my website and I don't don't know yet what the CRM tool is that they use, I probably won't directly talk to them about Salesforce, because they might use Salesforce or they may not, but I don't know. But I don't want to put I don't want to put Salesforce in front of them, because I'm not sure if they're interested in it yet. I know they've filled out a form and they've come to my website, but I'm not quite sure if targeting them with Salesforce content is interesting. So, this piece here, what we've served them here with is marketing automation and your CRM, the dynamic duo. So very generic content that we've put in front of them if we don't know what CRM they're using. On the other side, if we do know what CRM they're using, we can dynamically serve them content that talks to them specifically about that. So if we know that they're a Salesforce CRM customer, then we can serve them this content piece on the right, which is Salesforce for B2B marketers, the complete guide. So that definitely is increasing conversion. It's talking directly to the need that they have. So I'm going to actually take a poll right now, and just to see, actually out of curiosity, how many of the audience here are using Salesforce as a CRM solution. So a very simple poll, does your organization use Salesforce as a CRM solution? Please go ahead and complete the polls there. Yeah, quite a number of you using Salesforce as a CRM solution. So for the group there, if you were coming to our website and I knew that you were using Salesforce, I would be serving you the Salesforce focused content for B2B marketers. And for the 65% that don't currently use Salesforce, I would be serving you with generic content. Um, so then the next best practice that we look towards is really scoring and grading. So scoring, we define is what a person does, and then the grade is defined by who a person is. So if you have Pardot, and a lot of the scoring that we set up is out of the box, and this is based on best practices that we've seen across companies, and also it's figuring out how how you weigh up how to score a price, someone going to your pricing page, for example, versus downloading a white paper versus attending an event. There's different scores that you can give for all the different engagements that your prospect has with you. So what we've done is we've created a package based on best practice, so you don't have to think about that. So it's very easy. Of course, you can um, change that the scoring as you want, but if you just want to start with what the industry is using, then you can do that. Um, so let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. So anything that's like a demo request or a pricing page or someone attending a webinar or who is clicking on emails, these are going to score higher, right? Than if I send somebody something and they engage with it, but they haven't actually registered for a webinar or they didn't attend. Maybe they opened my email but they didn't click, then I'm still going to give them a score, but they're just not going to score as high as if they actually did something that was more engaging. And in my case, my scoring threshold here is 200 points. Um, and on the flip side, the same with grading. So if I know that you use CRM and you are at an executive level position, then I'm going to give you a higher grade because that's more interesting for me as a business. I'm going to give you more points because I know that you're more valuable to my sales team fundamentally. So, once we have that sort of scoring and grading methodology in place, we can really map out our lead management and flow. Um, and this looks complicated, but it's actually a simplified version. But we've got three different kinds of buckets of leads that we can classify. So let's walk this through slowly. So a response comes in to our magic marketing automation factory, as we described on the first page, and we determine, is that a new lead or is it an existing lead or contact, which means the salesperson is currently engaging and working that deal, or perhaps it's an existing customer. So if it's a net new lead, it goes through that scoring and that scoring process that I just mentioned. So someone might, on their initial interaction, they'll get an initial interaction score and a grade, and then they go to sale. Sometimes they don't. So once they reach that score and that grade, they will go on to what we call our EDR team, which is basically our inside sales team. What they'll do is they'll call up the person, they'll have the conversation, they'll determine if there's a propensity to buy with that person, and then they will go, if there is a deal or an opportunity with that person, they will go on to an account executive. But if it's not, they'll put them back down into a nurture track to go through that process of getting marketing touches until they've really just determined that the reach of the threshold and that grade again. So, if they're not ready for sales yet, they can always be re-nurtured and put again through the system. Perhaps they're not ready. Perhaps it will take them 6 months to make their purchase decision, but they're still really interested in educating themselves on my product and my industry. So it's still very valuable to keep them in the system and to keep offering them webinars, offering them white papers, etc. Now, if the AE, if it is an opportunity, then the AE will get a notification that they can engage with that customer, and then that's really exciting for them because that's when we've passed our hot lead from marketing across to the sales teams to really work that opportunity, and we assign that to sales then. So I think the campaign, it's pretty straightforward, how the campaign organizations are structured. But you've got a lot of people engaging with the campaign. Um, so, it's really about um, how do you assign and how do you get the best score out of your existing database. So I think let's take a pause here and we'll just look at lead assignments. So lead assignment and prioritization is really key here because you've done a lot of the hard work, you've gone through the process, you've come up with that brilliant campaign and your content strategy, you've scored and graded your customer contacts, and everything's ready to go. And we actually, once we've reached that grade and we've been at that threshold, we just want to make sure that we know what's going on and we're assigning it to the right person, and we're assigning it for a number of different reasons because they know that the that AEs and sales reps will know that the sales managers will run reports on the ones that aren't calling up on their hot leads, right? They know that um, that they'll be, if they're assigned a lead, there should be an SLA to follow up on that lead on a timely basis, and we really want to make sure that we're giving across the right quality leads, and fine tuning that over the time, having that open dialogue with sales to make sure that we're fine tuning the way and the quality of the lead that's coming across. We're getting feedback on whether that lead was good and why potentially it wasn't a good quality lead. So this is really something that we want to have a regular conversation with on the sales team. But something that we also do is really empowering our sales team to nurture as well. There's one element of marketing passing across leads to sales for closing and closing the deal. But sometimes, it's important that the sales team continues on that conversation once they have that one-to-one relationship as well. So I think that some of the recent stats at the moment show that 85% of your customers' purchase decision is really already made up before that they've even engaged with your sales team. And that's crazy actually, because it's that means that the role of marketing is so valuable. The prospect has done all of their research and has almost made up their the full choice before they even reach your sales team. So, and that's really all down to the content marketing that we've been doing as marketing. So your prospects are really, really educated. They're engaged before they pick up the phone to call. And this is changing the sales cycle within B2B. It really is at the moment. So, we want to give our sales team the power to nurture as well. So, we want to give our sales team the opportunity to um, add their contacts into these marketing nurture tracks that we've created. We spent a lot of time to create the content, the nurture tracks, the email flows, and why not give your sales team the opportunity to add their contacts as well into these tracks, so then everything is is looking good from a marketing perspective. Your sales team aren't creating random emails or content pieces themselves. They're using pre-approved content by the marketing team, so you have that control over that. And really, I think that's the key. That's the next step in marketing automation, is ensuring that your sales team as well have access to campaign reporting, understanding what content pieces are working the best, what is influencing the pipeline, what channels are influencing the pipeline, and also, to deliver all of that information back into the sales teams and keep that open dialogue. I think that's where marketing and sales really work together to become one department, if you like, to generate that full customer journey from start to finish. Engaging with that educational piece up front, and then still using that content all the way through to the end sale. So that's the model that we use, and that's what we use as a B2B marketing organization within Salesforce. And I work really closely with our sales team to make sure that we have a constant and open dialogue around what is working. What type of leads are coming through? Are they the right leads? Are their sales ready yet? How much more content do we need to deliver them? And then how do we get those assets into the hands of the sales guys and girls to make use of, to really leverage all the hard work we did up front in generating that content. I want to thank you everyone for joining on the call today. But thanks again, and thanks for joining.